Well, I think as an LGBT person, I faced a number of different challenges. The first, thinking back to when I was quite young, it's about thinking about who you are and how you fit into society and that you're different, I suppose. And as you get older, you realise that actually you're not different, not in a way that's a negative, but actually in a way that's a positive. And you start to understand a bit more about who you are and what you want to achieve in life, and you realise that actually those are the fundamental things for you, and sexuality is just one part of who you are.
Two of the main challenges that I faced being LGBT is the family and the church, because I'm a Christian and I was raised in a black family, and so it's harder, like getting their heads around it, and it's very traditional. So kind of coming out to them and them accepting me, which still hasn't fully happened yet. I think that's one of the most challenging things. And another thing is people undermining your sexuality. When you meet people, specifically straight men, they always feel like they have a right to know your sexuality, like what goes on behind closed doors. So it can make you feel quite uncomfortable, and it will happen everywhere you go. Doesn't matter if you're at uni or, you know, at home, in town, like it will always happen if it comes up in conversation.
For me, I think the most important thing is like life is about perspective, so each person has a different experience. So for me, I grew up in a very traditional Christian family, and it was quite hard because in my country you either don't admit that you're gay and you live your life like that, or you just say it to everyone and you're treated as a pariah for the rest of your life. So for me, the fact that I had to live in denial for most of my life was very hard. And I think the hardest thing that I had to go through was actually standing in front of a mirror and actually admitting to myself, okay, I am gay, what do I do now? And yeah, okay, after that, some people didn't accept me, some people ignored me, but I think that was easier to go through than actually coming to terms with myself and actually admitting who I am and what I want to do next.
Getting one's identity taken seriously is one of the biggest challenges in being an LGBT person. The acronym is just so short at LGBT, and sometimes you get a plus after it, sometimes you get an asterisk after it, but no one really knows what that means or includes. So someone presents you with a new identity and you may not know what it actually is, but people will reject an identity before they take a chance to actually understand what it means. Firstly, as a definition of what that thing means, and then what it means to that person, because what it means to that person might not actually be the definition of what it means as they found on the internet, on Tumblr or some silly resource. But people taking identity seriously is a real challenge, because new identities come up every day and they're all valid and they're all fine, and they're just how people feel, so people should just be allowed to feel how they feel and express that.
When I was a teenager, when I first started thinking I might be gay, that was something that, because of my religious background, was just immediately a no-no, just not acceptable. So for many, many years, I just completely ignored what signals I was being sent by my inner self. And it wasn't until I got to my own university that I graduated from that I then stopped listening to the religious signals and started listening to my inner self.
When I was young, the main challenge was actually accepting myself. I fitted into the world, had a fairly conventional life experience, but it wasn't working. It wasn't working for me. So the big challenge was actually to accept that I wasn't going to live that mainstream existence. I had to accept my own sexuality.
Challenges I faced being LGBT was having to educate different people in different terms, and like what transgender and agender is, and having to tell them how to correct pronouns and different types of pronouns.
For me, I think some of the things that made a positive difference were having a few good role models. There were a number of people over my time, both from school and then later, that I was able to talk to and really see as people I could look up to and seek to emulate and seek to try and develop myself to be similar to. Those people, some of those people were gay, some of them weren't, but they were people that I thought, you know what, I want to be like that, and I can see myself in that role for the future, and that made a big difference to me.
What made a positive difference was friends and family who supported me a lot, helping me, and teachers corrected other teachers and students without making it a massive deal.
Well, I think the people around you help a lot. For me, the first person that I told that I'm gay was my best friend, and she was the most supportive thing ever. She's still very close to me, and I love her. But if you happen not to have that one friend that's there for you, just anyone that you trust, or even like a friend over the internet, a complete stranger. For me, it was very hard not to have someone to talk to and tell them how I feel. So having her was extraordinary. And after that, coming here and changing everything in my life and starting from zero was amazing. And now, if I were to take back time, I wouldn't change a thing.
I think what made a positive difference was when I came to uni joining the LGBT society. As corny as it sounds, like having people around you that have faced the same struggles and they kind of know what you're going through, although everyone has a different struggle. Like, we're in it together, so we stand together, we talk about it, and just having people around you that love you for who you are and are willing to support you no matter what. So even if family aren't on your side, having someone that technically isn't blood that you can class as family, it's good. And having role models, YouTube videos, watching people that are like you, that you might not see in person, but you can relate to them, and it makes you feel better about yourself, so it's good.
I remember when my partner and I, when civil partnerships became legal, we partnered, got married. And I remember I was part of a local football club at that time, and one of the guys at the football club said, "Right, are you changing your name, your surname then?" And I was kind of like, no, far too complicated. But just the automatic, it wasn't even, you know, you're having a civil partnership, you're getting married. It was, are you changing your name? There was no, it was immediately accepted.
Everyone says, be tough, it gets better, and it does, but most of the time you don't want to hear that. You just want to have this sort of improvement. Like, you don't want to wait a month, a year, not even a day. You want things to change that moment.
It gets easier over time, and what I was told when I first came out was it took me 16 years to come to terms with my gender myself. So if my friends and family, it will take them a little bit of time. I've got to let them have that time, and they should come around.
I think if there's anyone going through a difficult time, I would say that just give it time. Always give it time. You're always going to have to come out to someone. It's never just a one-time thing. You're always going to have to come out to new people all the time. And it might seem strenuous. It might seem like it never gets better, but it does. And just know that there's always going to be someone that you can rely on and support, and just try and reach out to people. And I think keep your head strong, and no matter what, don't let people bring you down, because at the end of the day, you can only rely on yourself. So love yourself. Like, learn to love yourself, and it makes life a hell of a lot easier.
It could get worse before it gets better. It could get better and then get really great. But it will always improve.
You will find in your life, at all stages of your life, that the more comfortable you seem with yourself, the more you seem to understand yourself and have belief in yourself, generally speaking, the more comfortable people will be in how they relate with you.
You're not alone. We've all been there. We've all been there before, and people will be there in the future. There are people to talk to. Find where the networks are, find where the student networks are, find where the staff networks are. There are always people around to talk to, and there are always people who've been through exactly what you're going through. You may feel it's only you, you may feel that it's being directed at you, and that particular whatever is happening is particular to you. It isn't. It's something that happens to all of us, and by reaching out and talking to people is how you overcome it. Don't hide yourself away. That's the worst thing in the world to do. You have to be yourself, and to be yourself, if you are experiencing negativity, you need support of people around you, so come and talk to people who can help you through that.